What is good, everybody? What's good, Liam?
Yo, what's going on, Matty?
What's good? We're gonna let some people come in on here. Guys, I'm watching the NFL draft right now while we're gonna break down the card, so bear with me. Also, quick announcement. I'm doing a new guest every single week, so everyone welcome Liam to the show. I'm excited to break down this full card with him.
It's a
Let's
pleasure
let
to be
people
here, my
get
man.
in here. We got lots of antsy people in the chat. Some crazy picks up here. Oh my goodness. Cycles already coming in. Let's see here. Yes, sir, Matty and Liam. How do you feel about this card overall, bro? Because, like, I love this from a betting standpoint. I don't know why I love this card.
I feel like there's a lot of interesting angles on this card. There was definitely some lines that kind of surprised me looking at props, some props that were a little bit bigger than I expected, but
Yeah.
not a ton of money lines that jumped off the page. I do feel we got a lot of unreliable fighters on this card. For
Yeah.
example, the two fighters that are on screen, they've missed weight like a combined, 5 times in their last 7 bookings. So it's just
Yep.
the kind of things where there's a lot of variance with these fights, but that also welcomes some big opportunities for plus money. So I'm excited about it.
100%. Dude, I'm with you. Some of the prop market was crazy. So I'm in Florida. I have to like wait. Like it just depends on the week, dude. Like depending on the card and like if it's a pay-per-view, if it's a popular card. Sometimes the props are out Wednesday. Sometimes it's Thursday. Sometimes it's Friday morning for like the prelims. Like that's how long it takes sometimes. So it's just a disaster. I'm in Chicago right now and I started betting like I bet on Fanatics here for my first time, and then I have Hard Rock in Florida and bet openly a bunch of other sites, all the offshores. So it's just a disaster living in Florida with all these different with only one sports book in the state.
Yeah, New York is a little bit better. It's like a step in the right direction, but it's got its own set of problems. So don't worry. We get our props late oftentimes. A lot of the people talk about like round 1 and 2 KO and this and that. Those kind of things don't really exist here as much. There's a lot more limitations in the prop market.
Yeah,
And they also limit pretty quickly on a lot of these domestic books in New York. So I only have
yeah,
a few of these that I can play with comfortably, but
yeah, 100%.
it's still a step in the right direction to have books competing for your action.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right, well, let's dive right into it, bro. Give me your breakdown on the first fight of the night.
Yeah, I mean, in short, I don't really trust Jocelyn Edwards in like the biggest favorite role of her career.
Yeah,
I think Chelsea Chandler is probably fighting for her UFC job. She's missed weight twice in a row. Jocelyn Edwards, she's won the last 3 fights that she missed weight. And when she's made weight, she's lost her last 2. So it's kind of a story of the scales in this fight. But ultimately, Chelsea Chandler, I feel, just has a path to victory, which is if she can get 2 or more takedowns, I feel like she can either win a decision or do damage on top. Jocelyn Edwards, frankly, was in horrible positions against Lucy Pudilova, who's kind of like a wet noodle. And Chelsea Chandler, for all her faults, she's physical, she's strong, and she'll take a punch to the face. Even if she got to run away, she'll survive. Then she'll try and get back on top of
yeah.
you. And frankly, Norma Dumont, Yana Santos, they're good fighters. So Chelsea Chandler, I feel like dog or pass situation.
Yeah, dude. You know what's crazy is that when I first looked at this fight, I was looking at Edwards by decision for like the cycle, and I got off of it so quickly. The numbers sucked, and then all the reasons you just mentioned, there's so many red flags with it. This fight could end up being 29-28 either way. I think it goes the distance. And I agree with you. Like Chelsea, and I don't know if you saw Chelsea Chandler's, people talk about like her Instagram, like she looks in way better shape, and you nailed it. Like she's fighting for her job here. But I'm big on Norma Dumont. I'm big on a couple of the fighters, she's fought against or lost to. Um, I was very close to throwing Edwards by decision in the cycle, and I jumped off of it so quickly. This I might not have any action to start the card here. I mean, maybe fight to go the distance, depending on the number, but this is a fight that I'm probably gonna skip in general.
I'll tell you the one thing I think that could be tricky about this fight going is, Chelsea Chandler, her cardio is a little bit inconsistent. She's naturally, I think, a little bit more of a 45er. She fought at 45 and a 140-pound catch weight in the UFC, and then the UFC closed the division. So she's missed weight twice in a row because they told her you have to go to this division that she really isn't natural for. So we'll see if she makes it this time. But ultimately, I think that she does have a chance to get top position. And
Yeah,
like, Pudilova, I don't know that she could really bust a grape, right? Like Chelsea Chandler, she put Stolyarenko in bad ways, right? Like fast. And I just think that that's the kind of thing where Jocelyn Edwards, her game has been working because a lot of girls can't really hurt you if you make a mistake. And I do think Chelsea, that's the one thing going for her. She's aggressive. She wants to hurt people. And she's also a brown belt, in jiu-jitsu. So if this girl starts just rolling around and giving her back like she's done in a couple other fights, I think, again, that could be problems. So
Yeah, I'm with you. My final answer. What is the price for the fight to go the distance? By the way, it's got to be like minus 300.
Yeah, it's pretty chalked up to go, and that's why I also was looking a little bit towards the violence end of things, just
Yeah.
because I see a realistic path. Like neither one of them super reliable cardio, I feel, and both of them can hit a little bit on the feet. Edwards a much better striker, but again, it's
Yeah.
like in WMMA, if you can get on top, you can finish the fight.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Let's not spend too much more time on that one. Let's move on. What you got here?
Yeah, I got less on this one. I think that this is a competitive fight. Roberto Romero, good performance in a UFC debut against Oama. Cuamba on the other side, I haven't been impressed by what he's put out so far, but he's an athletic guy. He's 26, probably getting better each time. Trains with good guys, has more experience, but I kind of think Romero more aggressive, throws more out there to be judged. Almost went for that sub on Oama, who's a big guy, athletic, strong, can explode out of it. So I feel like, he's probably the more aggressive finisher, as well as the guy who I trust to put more out there to judge in the decision. So give me Romero to get the win.
Yeah, and I think that line moved quite a bit, right? Like I think he was an underdog, and I've seen him as high as minus 140 now.
Yeah, I definitely saw some movement there, but it's kind of been ping ponging a little bit, right? Some love on the Cuamba side for sure. But I do think Romero's going to close the favorite here.
Yeah, I think he has the finishing upside too. But man, the first two fights for me are just like I just don't love a lot of action on the first two. I usually love betting the card early, bro. There was that one streak last year. Do you remember when there was like 3 or 4 fights or cards in a row where the first fight ended by sub? Do you remember that? It was like I think it was
I
like
vaguely do.
I think it was like 3 out of 4 cards in a row. The fight ended by sub, and it was like me and Austin used to always talk about it. We were like, we just hammered the first fight of the night by sub, and we were cashing them left and right. And then recently, there's been some good women's MMA fights as far as like early fights in the card with finishes, But like this card, just the first two fights, I just don't really like that much from a betting standpoint. I'm gonna go Romero as well, but we'll see how I play that if at all. Let's move on. What you got here, bro?
Yeah, I tweeted out earlier this week. These are two of my absolute money printers so far in the UFC. But recently on the Viana side, it's been fading her. I had KO as well as KO2 for Jillian Robertson last time. Big payouts. I think it was like 24-1. And essentially, I'm kind of looking the same way in terms of how I think this one could go. I think a lot of people are going to target the sub here. I think it's very likely that it hits in terms of a finish for Amorim.
Yeah.
I think she's just a superior ground player. I think she's going to get it there. But I'll tell you what, man, she beat the hell out of Conejo. I thought it could have been stopped in round 1, 2, and 3. And Polyana Viana just be shelling up on the bottom and starting to take beatings these days. So I think the KO's live and big numbers on the round 1 and 2.
Bro, I'll tell you a story. I want to pull up that card. So when Polyana fought Jillian Robertson, hold on, I want to pull up that exact card because I want to tell you what the other legs were. I don't remember, but I had a 3-leg submission parlay, and the first 2 hit, and I had Jillian Robertson as the last fucking leg, and she had it in the first round. Then it got out of the round. Then in the second round she had it, and then she took the ground and pound. Dude, that it was like a $30,000 parlay. Hold on.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you were probably on the KO, weren't you?
Dude, I was on KO and KO too.
I knew it. Hold on.
Hey, you know what's funny too, though, is I had Amorim KO 16-1 when she fought Conejo, because I just believed like Conejo's a tough girl. She's not going to give it to you easy with the subs, but she's just there to be a punching bag on the ground. So,
bro, so I had. It's so funny because Jimmy Flick's on this card too. The first fight of the night was Jimmy Flick versus Malcolm Gordon. I had Jimmy Flick submission. Then the third fight of the night was Sam Patterson. I had Sam Patterson submission. That was a round 1 finish. And then the last leg was Jillian Robertson by submission. And she had one submission attempt. And then she got the ground and pound. I was so pissed about it. But yeah, this fight right here, bro. I like the KO prop for Amorim. Everyone's trying to get me to throw Jacqueline in the cycle parlay on the sub, but that price is ridiculous. Like Viana is a grappler at her core. Like, yeah, Amorim probably gets the sub, but like there's no value there. I saw minus 170 today, and I saw the KO at plus 650. Like, I think it's very possible she gets on her back on the ground, flattens her out, and TKOs her. So I kind of lean the TKO prop there for Jacqueline. And honestly, what's the inside the distance number? Because if you're set on that sub, you might as well just play the inside the distance. You're probably going to pay another 15 cents on that, and you can just get the ITD number on that.
Yeah, or even the under 2.5 is like minus 240, minus 250. And
Yeah,
then you get Pollyanna's finishing equity. And I basically think that's most
that's
of how
true.
she wins this fight. You know, she lays on her back for full 15-minute fights against Tabitha Ricci. So trusting her in the decision's not for me. But like, can she knock out women on the feet? She knocked out, what's her name? Amanda Hebos pre-UFC. So she has like decent wins. But when you look at what she's produced in the UFC, no bueno.
Yeah, I'm with you. What's the under price at?
It's like minus 240, minus 250 on the under 2.5. So it's again chalky, but then you
Yeah,
get the increase of Viana's finishing equity as well for
that's
whatever
true.
it's worth.
Has Jacqueline ever been KO'd on the feet? No,
No,
no.
but she did look like really tired and was like guard pulling against Sam Hughes. And the thing
Yeah,
about Sam Hughes that's like her downfall is she's not a very good finisher. Even in
right.
fights where she's like dominating, she doesn't always get the finish.
Yeah, I was at that fight live, and I had Jacqueline round one sub. She had it sunk in. The submissions will the submission props are like the best and worst bets in the MMA. Like they'll literally have you pulling your hair out, but then when they hit, there's just no better feeling than cashing a submission. Like I think the subs are more fun than the KO props, honestly. Uh, but yeah, I think Jacqueline gets it done in round one or two. Uh, I'm gonna probably sprinkle on the TKO. I think she's gonna get a ground and pound here. I can see an absolute deja vu of the Jillian Robertson Polyana Viana fight. So I'm probably gonna sprinkle on that. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one because I have a pretty strong opinion here, and I haven't seen a lot of love for Cameron Saaiman either. But I'm on the Malcolm Wellmaker side. Where are you at here?
Yeah, man, we kind of see this one the same way. I think Simon's a tough kid. I think he's got a future in the sport. You know, I don't think he's done, but it's just tough matchmaking for this kid. You know, 3 in a row now, where they give him Peyton Talbot, you know, star in the making. They give him, Christian Rodriguez, the prospect killer, and now they give him Malcolm Wellmaker, 30 years old. Guy's coming into his own. The guy's on like an 18 fight win streak or some shit from the amateurs. Like the guy's
Yeah,
been doing the damn thing for a while. And I think people, because they look at his pro record, don't give him any credit. He's been doing fighting. He knows how to fight. And I think he's got a lot of power in his hands. I think he's tricky. And I think the way you beat him is to grapple. And honestly, I went back looking for Saaiman grappling, and it looked like there's some good elements. Like he's got good sub defense. He's got heart. He's not going to give it to you
yeah.
for free, but he makes a lot of mistakes. He falls out of position. He gives up bad position. And against Wellmaker, I just think that's going to come back to bite him.
I'm totally with you. I'm not a big Cameron Simon guy. Um, he looked okay in the C Rod fight, looked terrible in the Peyton Talbot fight, and then that Peyton Talbot loss hasn't aged the greatest. I just go watch the tape on Wellmaker. The guy's confident. He's got precision and power. He had that nice step back, and I think it was a right hand in Contender Series that he just cracked the guy. Like, I don't think Simon's chin's gonna hold up in this fight. So, and dude, that Wellmaker KO's plus 350. I was pretty blown away by that number. I thought it was a phenomenal number in this matchup. So, I'm taking that. I kind of want to do like a mini cycle parlay early on the card because there's a lot of fights I like. So for everyone watching, I did lock in the cycle. It's going to be up on YouTube in the next hour or two. But I'm telling you, bro, I was about to do a second cycle early on this card because there's just so many props that I like. There's so many method of victory props that I love on this card. And that's usually dangerous. That's either like really good or it's going to end up miserably. But there's so many of them that I just absolutely love. So it made it hard to pick the ones I wanted for the cycle that I'm almost considering doing too. But yeah, Malcolm Wellmaker here all day on this one.
Yeah,
Let's
we tend to see this one largely the same way. I do think the sub props are pretty big in this fight. Just given what I've seen from Saaiman in terms of like going back and forth, attempting crazy amounts of like grappling in his fights, and like it's all offense, which means like somebody can get submitted either way when you like go for the back and just fall over the top and give bad positions, stuff like that. So just from like a grappling standpoint, that's one thing I noticed. If the ITD is a similar price on your book, that's something to
look at.
But
bro.
Wellmaker is a knockout artist as well. So don't be surprised if he just knocks him out.
Yeah, no, I think that's the most likely. But if you made a good point, like if you can get a similar number on Wellmaker KO versus finish, he does have 2 submission wins prior to the UFC. So it's something to look at. If that's a 5-cent difference or 10-cent difference, then anyone out there that's betting it, you might, if you're more conservative, maybe you just play the finish prop there. Let's move on to this one. So this is my fucking guy, Blackshear, bro. He's made me so much money, but he's also lost me money. So I've hit on his sub props pretty much every time he's gotten a submission, but I had a huge money line bet on him. I don't know if you remember this. It was so viral on my Instagram because I had like a $10,000 bet on him as an underdog. Everyone in the chat, you guys can chime in here and remind me whose opponent was.
Was it Montel Jackson?
It was Montel Jackson. Yeah. So it was so funny because Blackshear was like my favorite underdog. And he comes out and gets cracked in the first 10 seconds. So the reaction video went so viral because I had a $10,000 ticket on the screen. And the guy, I put like the Titanic music on the background, and Damon got knocked out within 10 seconds. Bro, it was the funniest fucking video ever. The losses always do better than the winning videos. But it went so viral. It got like a 1.5, 2 million views or something. Because I put in the caption, I was like, that's the fastest I've ever lost 10 grand in my life. And he got knocked out in like 8 seconds or whatever it was. But outside of that, now he did scare me in that Cody Gibson fight. So Blackshear's last fight, that's the last time I hit the cycle parlay in March, right? Leg 2, I had Blackshear by sub. And bro, I don't know what you were on in that fight, but if you were on the Damon side, I know you were sweating that first round. Like, the dude
I was on Cody Gibson money line, and I was like, this is the greatest performance from him I've ever seen. And then he starts shooting takedowns, and I was like, Cody, please.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, I thought the cycle was cooked. I hit the first leg. He came out, I don't know if he wasn't warmed up properly or like if something was like on his mind or something, but the guy just looked confused and like not warmed up. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. But I'll tell you what, everyone wants me to put Damon by sub in the cycle this week, and that performance scared me. It really did. I was almost like grateful to win that cycle with him in it because I didn't feel like I deserved it just based on the first round. Now in the second round, once the first round was over, I was like, all right, now it's live. But man, he looked really, really strange on the feet. It just didn't look like himself. And Cody Gibson's not not that great of a fighter. I mean, he's decent, but like he was making him look pretty bad on the feet. So I don't know. I'm a little nervous on this one. I'm willing to bet you're on the other side here if you're on the Cody Gibson side.
Well, here's what I say, man. I don't have a bet on this fight, but when I wrote it up, like I could basically see Damon making this look easy because I do think he's a little more dynamic. I think he's got a little bit more speed. I think he can probably connect with his shots from further away. Land some kicks to the face, some punches, get off with his offense. And honestly, if anybody's got submission grappling upside, I think it's probably Damon Blackshear from any position, whether it's the top or the bottom. He's like the only one who attempts subs from these guys, but when it comes down to it, like if it's just a wrestling match, like Haley Alateng's made a career of just barely eking out wrestling matches in the UFC, and he's got a really sneaky record. It's like 5-2-1, and frankly, like I again going to draw with Gustavo Lopez, like that's gonna raise some red flags. But to your point, it's not like Damon is the most consistent character. Like he's got great skills, but then think of the Yusuf Zalal fight where he's out there like looking really good against a great opponent, and then in round 3 he falls off a cliff. One thing I put in my notes was like Alatengheili round 3 30-1. Like there's crazier bets I put down in my life just because again we've seen it happen a couple times where Damon Blackshear starts really strong against Batista. Longer the fight goes, he just starts to slow down. And honestly, I thought he might have won that fight watching live. Rewatching, it's like he just lets himself get outworked just a slight bit, and it's very unfortunate. So that's
Yeah,
reflected by the record in decisions as well. I wanted to just point that
yeah.
out. If you look, like Alatengheili is like 9-6 in decisions. Damon's like 3-6. Like when it gets to the scorecards, he just normally hasn't done enough. It's like he either finishes or loses close.
I agree. Yeah, the money line is an absolute no play on the favorite side. I mean, that's a joke of a number. Do you think Alatengheili will like wrestle his way into a submission? Like, that's what will worry me if like you're back at the dog side here, because I could totally see that. Damon is, I mean, Damon is subbing guys that Aljamain, didn't sub. Like Damon's submission grappling is like really really good. Like, so I trust him to get it done in those spots and snatch something up. But to me, this is just a weird matchup, and the line feels inflated. And then I think the sub prop was way down. I forget what the number was. I just couldn't get there on it. But if I can get a decent number before Saturday on the sub prop, I might look at it again. But it's definitely not going in the cycle.
I saw an ends KO at like 6-1, and I was like, "Are these not men fighting each other? Like these are two men fighting." And we just saw
Yeah.
Devon get knocked out, and like you said, like it was a fast one. I've been on the wrong end of those two. Don't worry. I had
And then
Gavin
hurt on the feet in his last fight too. It makes you like the KO even more on either side.
Yeah, yeah, and also Chad and Hellinger got like he's my guy. I bet on him since Contender Series as a huge dog. He's cashed me a number of times. He got his nose literally like put to the other side of his face by Alatengheili like early in that fight. So the rest of the fight, he was like, "Please do not punch me in the nose," and like he basically said it after. He's like, "You broke my nose. I was just trying to stay like in survival mode." So I do think both these guys can crack for what it's worth. Alateng just doesn't throw that much, right? He's trying to wrestle, but he's just when he does throw, it's hard stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. What's the Alatengheili round 1 KO pay? Because I would hate to do that to my boy Damon, but man, that number has to be so juicy. And we've now seen Damon KO'd flat in round 1, and then almost TKO'd in his last fight in round 1. It's like if that number's north of 15, 20 to 1, you almost have to look at it.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now. Of course,
I'm using my phone to record right
down
now,
on
so
the
I'm
job.
struggling.
I got it on. I'll pull it up on OddsJam instead.
Yeah.
So let's see. We've got round betting. Alatengheili is 18-1 any method round 1.
Bro, that's
And
ridiculous.
23-1 round 2 and 37.50 round 3.
What's the
For
KO round 1
Alatengheili.
though? There, I don't think there's any equity in this in just in the submission. I think I mean, I guess there is, but to me, it's all
The
KO.
only thing is if he like punches him so hard that Damon is no longer with it. And I always say like it's different to grapple sober than when you're like, I just got scrambled. You think of Randy Brown, Jack Della Maddalena. You put them in a jiu-jitsu match, it's probably going Randy's way or it's going to be very competitive. But Jack punched him so hard he did the giraffe dance and then he jumped on his back.
No, it's true. It's very true. And this is a good comment right here below. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but you can get like even money on the fight to not go the distance. I actually really like that in this spot.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Who just got drafted? I think it's the 5th pick. I don't know. All right, Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. Bro, I'm so done with this fight. Like, I feel like it was made like 3 times. It might have just been twice, but why do I feel like this fight's been made like 3 or 4 different times? I'm like done looking at it at this point. What's your thoughts?
I'm also sick of this fight, but I do think that if you're looking for like big plus money angles, you could just take this as like the binary kind of fight that it is. John Castaneda, I think to win this has to be a mixed martial artist, mix in the takedowns, try and get a hold of this guy because we know Chris Gutierrez, range manager, throws a ton of kicks, damaging kicks, can hurt you with some shots. And, he doesn't love pressure, but he's got a good way to respond to it, which is just to slam your legs until you don't want to walk forward anymore. And I think Castaneda, he just hasn't proven nearly as much as Gutierrez at this point in his run. Tough fighter, good fighter. I think that if you like him, the sub is like 12-1. If you like the Gutierrez side, the KO is like 7-1. So I think that's a way to like play either guy and not have too much invested in this fight, which has been rebooked like 3 times. So otherwise it's going to be a competitive decision, I think.
I know. I think it's Chris' decision all day, but the number sucks, and I hate how many times this fight's like done this. Like, I just feel like something's weird gonna happen in this matchup. But I kind of trust Chris to stand outside. I kind of trust his grappling defense. I just think it's going to be a boring fight where he just throws the kicks out there, stays on the outside, maybe even wins like a 30-27 or some shit, 29-28. I don't know, but I'm literally done with this fight. There's another one I was looking at for the cycle with Chris by decision. Um, a lot of the decision legs have been tricky this card with which route I want to go because it's like there's some more obvious ones, but the number's just so bad, and it's like would I rather take other ones that are in like that plus 150 200 range, and I'm still pretty confident they're gonna hit. So that it's been tough on that cycle leg for the decision, but let's move on to this one replacement for Evan Elder's opponent here. I'm a big Evan Elder fan. He's a South Florida guy. I think the dude's dialed in. I think he's skilled everywhere. We see his versatility with the BJJ. I think he's got great striking. The TKO loss was just like a cut. I think late in round 3. So I think the guy's durable. I think he's good everywhere. I'm a little confused at the betting odds here. I'm interested to hear your opinion because they really haven't ballooned much.
Honestly, man, I really respect both these guys. When Evan Elder came into the UFC, I was a little too high on him. I thought he was going to beat Preston Parsons, just based on the skill set I had seen on paper. And then you just see weight classes matter, right? Preston Parsons was able to big dog him, right? Move him around physically. Gage Young, in his last fight, I think he was taking on a future top 15 guy. Like watching back Quillen Salkeld, the pace that he puts out there is not a normal pace. And he was taking takedown attempts. He was throwing out a lot of volume on the feet. The guy's special in my view upon rewatch. And I honestly think Gage Young competed really well there. He busted him up a little bit. He put some doubt in his mind. But ultimately, Quillen just had the wrestling to go to over and over. Darius Flowers, for me, he's not that serious a guy. Like, I think he's got real skills. He can knock people out, but like he's gassed 2 minutes into the fight. I know it's on short notice, but like he's a professional athlete. I don't even think that I did.
I had the sub, bro.
Oh,
bro, anytime there's like a sneaky sub, you can just assume that I'm on it. I just love the fucking sub.
Well, dude, I'll tell you, Evan Elder's 12-1 to win this fight by sub, which I think is wrong. But also, I think Gage Young to win this fight by knockout at 6-1 is wrong. If you watch back that Sadikov fight, Sadikov and Elder both hurt each other bad in round 1, and then they both were like kind of buzzed fighting in round 2. But ultimately, I think Evan fights so hard, and like he's kind of like Jose Aldo in this one sense, right? Don't overinterpret, Chad. But he's like Aldo in that he's very tense and he's like ready to throw back huge combinations and rip stuff. And I do think that he's got like 3 minutes at the beginning of a round to go, and then he starts to taper off a little bit. And Gage Young is the kind of guy that will fill that space. The best moments he had against Quillen were at the end of round 2 when he's walking him down, putting pressure on him. And again, Quillen goes to his corner in round 3, like, oh my God, what just happened to me? And he needed to get back on the wrestling. So I think that in this fight, it's two guys that both want to scrap, and Gage on short notice, but had a fight scheduled, and he comes ready to party for 15 minutes. So I think it's going to be a fight. I think they're going to beat the shit out of each other, and I think either man could fall. But ultimately, I just think you're getting a decent price on Gage Young because people don't know who he is, but I think he's a real fighter, and I think both these guys are going to win more fights in the UFC.
Yeah. Dude, I think I just want to sprinkle on the Elder sub the more I look at it. Like
I think you should. I think that's the way to target him.
Does he have a nice arm bar? Because that's how Young got subbed previously.
I'm not sure, but I also think when you look at some of those positions that Salkeld had, he had some good spots and some good angles, but Gage stayed disciplined. He was fighting hands. I think that if Evan's able to put some hands on him and hurt him in ways that Salkeld wasn't able to, that's when you're able to sub a guy like Gage.
No, I agree. I think I'll whip up like a little submission parlay and throw him in there with like a chalkier one with it, like a 2-legger. Put Elder sub in there, and like, maybe I'll ride with my boy Damon. He's not going in the cycle, but maybe like a Damon Blackshear have an Elder sub. That would probably pay like 30-1 or so. So we'll see. But this is a good matchup though. So let's move on to this one. My favorite dog of the night, Jimmy Flick. What do you think, bro?
I'm with you. Matt Schnell minus 300 he was earlier in the week. That's never clicked for me. The guy's not very durable. He's tapped multiple times. Jimmy Flick's never tapped in a fight. So as far as I'm concerned, he's the more dangerous grappler. I think Matt Schnell's got a very good triangle series, but I do think that otherwise he's a bit exploitable. He's got decent takedown defense. He's got decent striking, but even in his last few fights, 1-4 in his last 5, and he got hurt so badly by Sumadarji like 5 times, and it was a miracle that fight wasn't stopped. So I just think that the guy is not here to stay. And honestly, I think Jimmy Flick can still win fights in the UFC. So give me Jimmy Flick by hook or by crook.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I mean, that match Schnell comeback against Sue was like probably one of the greatest comebacks I've ever seen. I just was pissed I was on the opposite side of it. Like, it's like, why can't I have the right side when it's like the greatest comeback of all time? But I was pissed on that fight. But I'll tell you what, Jimmy Flick, I mean, you shouldn't do MMA math, but he subbed Cody Durden and Durden subbed Schnell, I believe. And here's the thing, the way I look at this fight, bro, it's as simple as this. Matt Schnell has 0 knockout wins in the UFC. How do you beat Jimmy Flick? You got to knock him out and stop him from grappling you. I think Jimmy Flick's gonna just find the takedown or find a good position and lock something in. I just trust him to be more locked in, more dialed in this fight. I just think he's better grappling, more grit to him, and I just think at the end of the day he's gonna find that sub. But it really comes down to the number you get on this one. Like that sub was a really juicy number, and now I'm seeing it like super low as the money line is kind of tailored off, and I'm seeing that sub price like the sub price is like the same as the money line on some books, bro. It's like the money line will be like plus 220, and then the sub would be plus 240 or some shit. Like dumb shit like that. Where it's like but he could very well win a decision in this fight, just out grappling. So I love the sub. But to anyone out there that wants the tail or is gonna bet this, you want to make sure you at least get a decent number on it. Like it's just, I'm seeing some really low numbers on that sub price. I think I got it at plus 260 on my Hard Rock slip, and I'm not in love with the number, but it's way lower now. I believe. I'm not sure. Did you bet on this yet?
Yeah, I did end up taking the money line here on Flick when it was plus 235. And,
Okay.
I think that I like that because I think he could KO Matt Schnell, who I don't think is very durable. I think if he gets on top of Schnell, like he did on top of Nate Maness, who in fact I rate as a better fighter,
For sure.
then he could do more damage to a guy like Matt Schnell than he did against Nate. So I just think there's a lot more equity for him. And also, we've seen several times the first takedown attempt that Matt Schnell goes for, he gets guillotined. I think that Jimmy Flick showed in his last fight, he's capable of pulling a nice guillotine. He almost had Nate, and Nate was able to pull his neck out. I don't know if Matt's going to be able to do that.
I'm absolutely blown away at the opening line in this fight. Like blown away. Like this, I honestly would make Jimmy Flick the favorite. Like I was gonna say, pick him. I genuinely would make Flick the favorite. Like this should be a huge play at plus 230 in my opinion. So I love Jimmy Flick here. If Matt Schnell KOs him on the feet,
I fooled myself into thinking the line was going to get better because if you remember, there was some early resistance. It was actually bouncing around. Like it got bet from plus 250 to plus 225, then went back up. So I bet plus 235, and I was like, I'm hoping for plus 250. And then I wake up the next morning, it's plus 170.
Yeah, bro. I'm blown away that Jimmy Flick is a dog. What's his money line right now? I saw it super low.
I believe plus 155 earlier was the best money line price in New York.
Yeah, no, it's insane. The sub's probably 2-1 now at most. Just depends on the book. But let's move on. We're both on the Flick side for sure there. Guys, I'm going to put the link in the description, or Jake, if you can do that in the comments. If you guys want to tail some of the most consistent cappers in the game, Hey Jive picks 3 years of consistency, up about 180 plus units. You guys already know I'm your long shot better. My picks are free. But if you want to tail Hey Jive and Nolan, you can do that with code Kansas. The link is in the description. You get this whole weekend for free if you subscribe. Let's move on to the main event. Ikram Aliskerov versus, I'm sorry, the first fight in the main card. Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. So I've been burned on both these guys, and I've also won a lot of money on both of these guys. Andre Muniz, I took Paul Craig by round 2 KO against him, and I hit it like 39-1. So that's all. That's I think to date, outside of like the cycle parlays hidden, that's been like my favorite straight bet hit of all time. I was all painted up in the Bear Jew costume. I had the blue paint on and everything, and bro, I was so hyped when that bet hit. I took I think I did 2-3. So I had a straight bet on round 2 KO and round 3 KO. And dude, I rewatched that fight. Like I'm still lucky to this day because like Muniz was actually winning a lot of the exchanges on the ground and on the feet. And Paul Craig just got in I think the ref like made an adjustment on the fight, like something happened, and then Paul Craig just got in a good position and just started ground and pounding him and got him out of there. And then Ikram Aliskerov, I'm the idiot that took him against fucking Robert Whitaker, so I felt stupid on that one. But I've made so much money cashing on him on early finishes. So I like Ikram Aliskerov in this fight, but do you feel like the odds are just super wide, or they were at least?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I was an Andre Muniz guy when he came to the UFC. He made me a lot of money when he was a dog, believe it or not, to Bartosz Fabinski of all people. He was a short favorite against Eric Anders. So there were some good opportunities early in his run. But then he kind of just got exposed as not having the best cardio. We kind of knew coming into the UFC he can be knocked out. He's a little bit slow, and it hasn't plagued him as much in his UFC run, but the cardio is still a big concern. And Ikram, for me, the one thing that stood out about the Khamzat Chimaev fight, other than him getting brutally knocked out, was that he defended all the takedowns, which very few people have done. So I think that Ikram does have good takedown defense, and that's kind of the defining factor of a Muniz fight. If he can't get the takedowns, he might be able to kickbox a little bit. He's got like GM3 kickboxing. He throws hard. He wants to be there. He commits, but it's like he just doesn't really have the speed or the dynamic movements in the striking to succeed. And Ikram kind of does. So I think Ikram will have way more success in the striking. The way that Muniz wins this fight is he gets an opportunistic back take, drags him to the ground, and he is a very smooth operator down there. But ultimately, Ikram's not a bad ground player either.
Yeah, I mean, he's really only been out grappled by Brendan Allen probably in his whole career. Like for the
and I guess Paul Craig, to whatever extent that counts.
I don't even really.
He got bludgeoned from the top position.
Yeah, I don't think he like technically got out grappled in that because like dude, even in the Jun Park fight, I mean, he got a lot of takedowns in that fight if I'm not mistaken. Like he got a ton
it was
of
a really awkward fight. He didn't accomplish that much, but yes, he did get some control and some takedowns.
Yeah. So what are you playing in this fight, if anything?
Let me look at my document here. What I put for this fight. I mean, this was definitely not super high on my priority list, but I put Aliskerov, by the round props. I think that's basically the best way to get value on him. He's a huge favorite, but I think if he looks like a favorite in this fight, he's going to cash one of those round props, and they're all decent plus money if you could shop around books. And then Muniz sub is as high as like 9.5 to 1, 10 to 1. I feel like that captures a lot of his win equity here. Obviously, he got the decision last time out. He's not drawing dead to a decision, I suppose, but I just don't think he's going to put out enough striking offense. If the fight hits the cards.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to do enough damage on the feet to win a decision. Even if he gets takedowns, I don't think he'll be able to do enough to win a decision. I almost wonder if Aliskerov could catch him in something on like a takedown attempt. But I think Aliskerov KOs him, bro, like around 1-2. I mean, we forget like how easy he was making some of these round 1 finishes look. It's almost like a buy low spot off of the Robert Whitaker loss. But then again, the competition was just so poor. Like Worley Alves, round 1 finish. Phil Hawes, I think, is a good fighter, just a bad shin, round 1 finish. And then he had a round 1 Kimura before that. I mean, he was just putting everyone away in round 1 and 2. I don't know. I don't love much in this fight, though. I'll be honest. So we'll see if I even get there on a play. Let's move on. All right. This is a solid matchup. Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. I'll be honest. The only thing I really like in this fight is for it to go the distance. But I don't love a ton here. What do you think?
Man, we kind of see this one exactly opposite. I'll tell you the truth.
You're on the violence.
I just think, and it's just because you have Dalby coming back from an injury. He's 40 years of age. You've got a violent division, 170 pounds. These guys got knockout power, right? Not women throwing hands. Like if these guys connect, somebody could get hurt. Randy Brown, in my opinion, his chin is like an anomaly, right? Sometimes it looks really good, and other times he gets hit with a hammer fist from bottom and he goes to sleep. So it's like I think that his chin kind of comes and goes. Also, the sub loss to Madalena, it was a knockout that was by another name, right? It's like those are the kind of things that make me think he could get clipped. The other thing is Dalby, we got to know him to be, a guy that's going to keep pushing. If he hasn't been killed, he's going to keep trying to push you for the whole 15, try and get you out of there. And if you're tired, slowing down, something hurts, he's going to try and get you out of there. So whether he's like the best finisher, he's going to push for it the whole time. On the other side, it's like, I think he could get finished. Jesse Ronson hurt him bad, takes his back, subs him. Randy Brown, long arms, right? We've seen that he can go to that one arm rear naked choke. So if he hurts him, he might just need one position to get the fight over in a couple different ways. So for me, I do think there's a few different ways that these guys finish. And that was one thing I was looking at this week. I haven't clicked it yet because I wanted 2-1 on the fight not to go. So I'll have to wait and see if I get the number I'm looking for. But ultimately, I looked at this and I was like, it looks like all the trademarks say this is going to go to decision. And I was like, contrarian violence, two grown-ass men throwing hands. And by the way, Randy coming off a decision that he was pissed that he lost, I think he's going to be very motivated to try and finish this fight and make a statement because at 34, he doesn't have many big opportunities left if he can't start converting.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I just believe in Dalby's durability, and I just think Randy's going to just be more technical and land shots with him coming forward. Like, with Dalby coming forward, I think he's going to find good shots, but I don't think he's going to be able to put his lights out. What you made a good point, though, on the submission being live. I like Randy Brown by decision here, so I think this is probably the most split we've been on the whole card so far. But I'm going to lean Randy Brown by decision. I just think Dalby's not going to do enough. He's gonna exert a lot of energy and be durable and come forward, but I just think Randy Brown's gonna just be too accurate on the striking. Oh my god! Did I just get cooked? I just got cooked in the NFL draft, bro. I think they just took an offensive tackle. I'm so screwed. I just lost 2 picks. I lost 2 bets off of that. I'm so pissed, bro. Fuck, I hate that. Dude, I need UFC back, bro. NBA and NFL now both have been killing me. All right, let's move on. This is a fun matchup. Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. Both guys up and down performances. Like, I still believe in Pereira at this weight class. We know how good Fluffy is, bro. Fluffy is an absolute monster. So I don't really take anything away from that performance against Fluffy. I think Magomedov has also improved. What do you make of this fight?
Yeah, this was a fight where I thought degens by sub and Pereira by sub kind of stood out to me as like the big prop angles. When you look at Pereira, he's a guy that when he hurts people, he's not afraid of like just grabbing a hold of their neck, trying to finish them quickly. And he's done a great job of converting some of those, especially lately in his UFC career. I think Salim Imadaev was another example of that. Hurts the guy badly, falls into the ground, no hooks, rear naked choke. So he's a guy that has a black belt. He's got a bunch of wins by submission. But on the other side, Abus is a guy that's big, physical. When he gets on top of people, he can really start to wear on them. And Bruno Ferreira is a good grappler in my view. He's done a good job getting his own submissions in the UFC and before that, and getting people to the ground and using his physicality. He's a judo guy, judo Hulk as I call him, and he calls himself Hulk. I call him judo Hulk. And when you look at basically how these guys match up, I think there's going to be competitive grappling exchanges where both guys will be at risk. And if either one of them gasses out, I think we could see a tap out. And especially on the Abus side, where a lot of these guys have been, getting him tired and then kind of trying to get him out of there with ground and pound. I think that we would see Michel Pereira just grab a hold of his neck if he gets that opportunity, personally. Dude, so I think it's a good fight.
I'm glad you said that. We got to fix the slides here. I don't know what happened. Jake, if you're able to fix that. But bro, I'm glad you said that because I swear to you, I like really believe Michel Pereira is going to sub him in the first round. I honestly think that's how the fight's going to play out. I think Pereira is going to sub Abus in the first round. I was looking at the props. Even round 1 finish is a good number. I need to look at what that round 1 sub is. I think Jake's having some technical issues here. Let me see if I can bring that back on.
Yeah, a couple of people in the chat are saying Abus by sub, which I think is funny because that's why I said the end sub. Like, I truly think like Pereira's got the chance to sub, and both guys, if they get hurt, got the chance to sub. I feel like there's some value at plus 450,
Oh, 100%. All right, we'll go full screen here until we can fix the slides. Yeah, I'm on Michel Pereira by sub, bro. I've seen it happen too many times, and I don't think Abus's jiu-jitsu is that crazy. I really don't. I think Pereira can hurt him and jump on the neck. We've seen him do it so many freaking times, bro. So I'm gonna roll with that. What's the next fight? Here we go. Let me pull this up here. Oh, damn it. You know what the next fight is after Pereira?
Yes, it's Chikadze Onama.
There we go. Who you like in that matchup?
So this is a fight where, I think that, again, I was surprised by the prop numbers. You got Giga Chikadze, a former Glory kickboxer, to win the fight by KO at plus 750 on some books. I was like very surprised. And also there's a big gulf. Some books have it like plus 450. So the books don't know exactly how to price it. Onama just got hurt by Roberto Romero, who nobody had ever heard of, 6 weeks ago or whatever. It's like, those are the kind of things that make me think, interesting click. On the other side, David Onama, big sub prop, and he's a guy that showed in his last fight he's willing to attempt it. He's willing to attempt grappling. He's shown that he could get submissions in the UFC before. Did it to Garrett Armfield. So I think that those are the kind of ways I'd look to play this. If it goes to decision, I think it's probably going to be competitive. I think we saw Onama can kind of live down to lower than expectations sometimes. He was minus 900, ends up going out there and wins a 30-27, but has some scary moments early, got hurt badly. On the other side, I think that Giga Chikadze, he's training with a new team. He's doing all the things right that you want to see, but he's 36 years of age. He's been in 2 careers in combat. He's taken a lot of damage, and Onama hits like a truck himself. So I think that if he hits him and hurts him, he might not try and play games with him. He might just try and go for a choke or something.
Yeah, I love David Onama by decision here. I think I got it at plus 165 or 170. I just like taking the younger guy who's not necessarily more skilled, but I think, like you said, has more power on the feet. I think he can win moments, and I just think he's younger and more durable. I think Giga's still super durable, but I think he can get hurt and recover and just lose rounds based off of that. So I'm going with Onama by decision here. I actually really like that number on it.
Nice. Jewish Better in the chat's got that as well.
Oh, sick. All right. Let me see if I can add this in now. We're struggling right here. We're back. All right, cool.
Nice.
All right, I got it, bro. I got it, Jake. There we go. All right, I got it, Jake. All right, we're good. Dude, stop clicking. All right, I'll just let him click. We're already in the co-main, is that right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, co-main event. Homa Fight's very own Anthony Smith here versus Mingyan Zhang. I'll tell you what, I saw a very interesting post. It was either on Twitter or Instagram somewhere today. It said that we already know this. All Zhan's finishes are pretty much in round 1. But Anthony Smith has not been finished in round 1 since 2014. I believe it was like 30 fights or something. Don't quote me on the number. But there's one thing we know about Anthony Smith. He figured out ways to survive. Do you think he has any chance here if he can weather the storm in round 1?
I think he could even win in round 1. I mean, we've kind of seen, what Anthony Smith does is that he finds ways to try and sneak out these wins. I do think Petrino's a little bit more vulnerable than Mingyan Zhang. But when I look at this fight, like I think Anthony Smith is going to throw back. Mingyan Zhang takes a lot of risks. I think that he's like roided up, like ready to rumble. I think he could take good shots. So I don't think Anthony can knock him out. Honestly, like I think he could hurt him maybe, but I think the way he would win this fight is by submission more often than not. I just think that he's got a huge skill advantage there, presumably, right? And Anthony Smith has like good jiu-jitsu. Like we've seen it for a number of years. He's submitted good, credible guys, former title challengers in the UFC. So I think that in this fight, like Mingyan Zhang probably kills him via knockout in the first 2 rounds. That's what the odds say. That's what the narrative of retirements and all these things say. But it's like at the end of the day, Anthony Smith, he's done it before, pulling the upset as a big sizable underdog via submission. And I think he's got the same tools to do it again here. The way that prospects kind of get upset a lot of the time is they make a bad decision, they put themselves in a bad position, and they get subbed. And even Jamal Hill against Paul Craig, what did he do? Leaves his arm in the armbar, gets it out, puts it back in, and away she goes. So,
yeah, Vitor Petrino too I was at that fight against Anthony Smith. I'll tell you what, bro. I'm on Anthony Smith by submission. It's 11-1. I have to do it. It's his last fight, supposedly. Also, Zhang is grappling and like I feel like he has some like wrestling tendencies. Maybe he does make a mistake. Like maybe he walks into something, or maybe he shoots a takedown into something. I just maybe Anthony Smith chews his leg up on the feet, and then he does something dumb, and then he snatches something up. I just think there's a lot of ways, and obviously we haven't talked about like what happens if this fight goes deep into the 3 rounds. If we get halfway through round 2 or in the round 3, I think Anthony Smith's cardio is going to hold up over Zhan's. I think that he can use the BJJ and snatch something up. So I just can't not play it at 11-1, bro. Like this guy's not proven. We know he has power. We know none of us are going to be surprised if Anthony Smith gets put away in the first 7 minutes of the fight. But at the same time, how can you not play that number at 11-1, bro? I have to. 15 submission wins in MMA for Anthony Smith. That's a lot of submissions to be getting an 11-1 number.
And
I'm
who's
sorry.
the best guy Zhang's ever fought on the ground?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anthony Smith, in all likelihood. It's like
100%. Yeah, and he's been subbed twice. I mean, that was back in 2019. I don't even see his other sub listed. Oh yeah, 2019 and guillotined in 2014. Anthony Smith
that's the Anthony
guillotine
Smith special.
confirmed.
Come on. You're gonna jump it from the feet. Gilly Goose Gang. Like,
bro, nothing would make me happier than to see an Anthony Smith guillotine. Bro, I want to put it in the cycle. That's how bad I love the number, but it's just too risky for the cycle at that type of number. But that's just, who needs parlays in the UFC when you can bet 11-1 straight bets, bro? Like when you can do, I always said my favorite thing to do is just 2 picks in a parlay until the cycle was created. But like in the UFC, 2 picks in a parlay, you get 40-1, depending on what you get. Like those are live all day long. One fighter by sub, one by KO. Throw them 2 in a 2-legger, and they smack all the time. That's literally what I used to hit all the time before I started the cycle. But I don't know. I just think Anthony Smith's gonna find either a guillotine or a rear naked choke or something. I can just see it, and it's in Kansas City, which is like close to his hometown. It's a retirement fight. I feel like he's mentally in a better spot than his last fight where he had just lost his best friend and is one of his corner guys. I feel like he's mentally better and he's gonna have fun and be ready for this fight. So again, we won't be surprised if he gets starched or TKO'd, but I just think it's live, so I'm a run with it. Let's move on to the main event here. I'm very interested to see what side you're on. Everyone that's watching pretty much knows I'm a fighting nerds guy. I'm a Carlos Prates guy. I was blown away that he was the underdog. Maybe it's a square play, but square plays win too. That's the thing. Square plays hit 45+% of the time. I think Carlos Prates is going to chin Ian Garry. I just think his range on the feet, bro, the way that length on the feet, I just see him finding Ian chin. I really do. I think he's gonna knock him out. I think it's gonna be a TKO. I think he's gonna find the left hand on the feet, go to the ground, and it's gonna be like the Poatan Jamal Hill fight in a way. Like it's gonna be hurt him on the feet and then rain a few ground and pound shots and the fight's over. That's my prediction.
Yeah, well, I'm going to disclose one of my biases right up front, which is that I am an Irish man. Okay. And I will tell you this. I have been talking about Ian Garry winning fights for a long time, and a lot of people have dismissed him in a lot of these fights. I know a lot of people have been betting these underdog prices against him, and they've been losing the coins, right? Like if you look at this guy, I'll acknowledge I've lost a lot of coins betting on him to win fights by submission. But when I go back to the photographic evidence, I can feel good about the positions I took in his last 2 fights. Very deep sub attempts.
The Shavkat one was absurd that he didn't finish that.
Here's the thing, though. When you look at that, those are 2 guys that have never been submitted in all their professional mixed martial arts career. Shavkat Rakhmonov, 10-0 career to the submission. He's a submission ace. Ian Garry, this close to getting him, right? Then you look, okay, what about Michael Venom Page? Long career. A lot of guys have tried to take him down. Nobody's ever submitted this man. This guy was very, very close to doing so. And when I look at where Ian Garry's at, I think he's a very smart guy. I don't think he's going to make this an ego contest. Hey, let me go out there and stand and figure out, who's a better distance striker. I think he's going to understand that this guy is dangerous, but he also is a human being. And if I make him tired, he's a man like me that's not going to want to be tired. And nobody wants to be tired, no athlete. And I do think that when you look at how Ian Garry fought against MVP, he kind of showed a little bit of his hand. I'm going to try and get on your back. I'm going to try and take you down. I'm going to try and make you feel this weight so that way you're not as explosive, you're not as dangerous, and I can deal with these striking exchanges. Yeah. I agree. Prates is a good grappler. He's improved in those areas, no doubt about it. But I just think that Ian Garry can mix his skills together in all phases. He showed last fight, can fight for 5 rounds, and he's doing it against high-level guys. Prates, for me, can prove something huge in this fight. He's a very good fighter. I've been singing his praises since he got to the UFC. Called him knocking out Leach and these other guys. Like, been on the train. But in this fight, for me, it's a prove-it spot for Carlos Prates, who's a good fighter, but he hasn't been tested at this level. And when you watch back, some of these fights, it's not like they're all smooth sailing. The Trevin Giles fight, he flipped to a live underdog during that fight because Trevin Giles won the first round, backed him up, landed good shots, landed low kicks, and pushed him against the fence, and he started to look uncomfortable against the fence. At space, this guy's comfortable. He's dangerous. He'll hurt you. By the way, the cut on Ian Garry's face, I was like, oh, money line. That's going to be a much harder click for me now because that could be a cut stoppage. Like, there's just a lot of things that make me say competitive fight, very good guys on both sides. But I do think that I cannot not bet Ian Garry's sub because I've done it every time out. And if it hits this time and I'm not there, I'll be sick to my stomach. And the truth is, I think this guy's showing his improvement every time out. It's just that you sometimes can't submit guys that have never been submitted in their career. So I think that he's a good fighter, and I think he's going to win the fight. But also, I think Prates is a good fighter, and nothing but respect.
Yeah, I would argue that the only way I would play Ian Garry is on that sub prop. Like, truthfully, like obviously, the easiest way for him to win is a 5-round masterclass and on the scorecards, but I don't see enough value in it. I think it's too much danger to fight Carlos Prates for 5 rounds and make it to the scorecards. So I would argue the best way to play Ian Garry is on the submission prop. I just every time you bet against a fight in there, you feel so stupid afterwards, bro. Like, you just can't do it. I know Ian Gary's very high level. I think Shavkat was a little bit overrated in a way. The guy doesn't have head movement. I think he had some sort of injury or something happened going into that fight. Didn't look like himself on the ground or anywhere, really.
He still never lost a fight.
I know. He still never has. I was the biggest Shavkat guy ever. I used to say he would beat Hamzat, and now I don't agree with that. But I don't know. It's still mind-boggling how that fight played out. Ian should have finished that rear naked choke. I've never seen anything. That was maybe one of the deepest rear naked chokes to never be finished that I've seen in the UFC. I mean, I was there live and I was like blown away.
One thing I will tell you is if somebody gives up, it's so much easier to submit them. And a guy like Shavkat, you have to teach these people how to lose. They are not going to give it to you, right? Discomfort is not going to be enough. Matt Schnell, with all due respect, was in discomfort, and he didn't start fighting hands and try and get out. He said, get me out of this, double hands. Please let go. A lot of guys don't do that, right? They work on get me out. They'll go to sleep trying to win the fight. And I just think that not everybody's wired that way, right? Some people get put in that choke. They feel discomfort. Some people get their neck starting to twist a little. They give it up. Other people, you could put their teeth back in and they're like, there's only 30 seconds left on the clock. Gordon Ryan, for example, one of the best grapplers in the world, he'll let you twist that ankle. Oh, you break my foot. Yeah, break a couple toes. No problem, because I'll get to the end. And that's what real competitors are like thinking. Like Makayev, let Jafel Filo dislocate his knee just to come back out on his back. That's a very high-class black belt. So.
Yeah, no, that was an insane. That was like hard to watch, bro. I thought like that was literally hard to watch. That was so crazy. I realize Ian can have grappling success in the fight. I just don't think he's gonna have the opportunity to. Like, you're in danger every second you're fighting Carlos Prates. Go ahead and shoot a takedown on him. You're gonna get a knee to the face. Like, you back up against him and get back up against the cage. He's gonna find the big shots. I can't fade him. I'm going Prates by KO. This is another one where if you're scared of the ninja choke like his teammate John Silva or a club and sub or something, the inside the distance number is not much different than the KO prop. So to anyone out there that's listening, maybe you look at the finish prop instead of the KO. I actually think I made the mistake. I played the KO at plus 175. I don't know what the ITD number is right now, but
I will say I split my position on the end sub as well. So I have the end sub at like plus 700. And I think that, Carlos Prates, he's no slouch on the ground. But I think he would probably have to hurt Ian to submit him.
And Ian's got that long ass neck too, bro. He's got that long neck. So you never know. But yeah, I'm going Prates. So we're pretty much split on this one. And what was the other fight we were split on? The Nicholas Dalby fight. We're pretty split on that one. But
Yeah, in
other than
terms of
that,
whether it goes the distance or not. I think we both
yeah,
agree Randy wins the fight.
yeah, agreed. And we overall we were pretty on sync for most of the cards. So hopefully we'll both have good cards. Do you want to build anything before we jump off here? You do any like any sort of specific parlays you do every card, or you just only bet straight bets, or like what do you do for fun?
I typically bet straight bets, but I also bet on props because
Yeah,
I've done well on submission props and certain things over time. But recently the props have been sharpened up a little bit. I will say, in my humble opinion. So it's always a learning experience. Each card's a little different for me, but this week I've got a money line play, I've got a prop play so far, and I'm looking to continue monitoring the lines. And some people I saw were asking for a parlay of sorts. What I could give you guys, because I really can't think of a great angle that I feel like super confident in for a decision, because I'm not a decision guy, man. I look for finishes. That's who I
I'm the
am
same way.
instinctually as a fight fan.
Yeah,
But also just like in terms of where I've had success, I've done better betting on finish props than I have on decision props historically. The one that I would look to target is either fighter by KO in the Viana Amorim fight, plus 550, either fighter by submission, plus 450 for Pereira and Abus. That for me, I'm looking
yeah.
on Bet Rivers, pays plus 3,475 for just those two legs. And I don't mind that.
What is it? What does it pay?
Plus 3,475.
Wow, I actually like that. I like straight betting both of those two though because I feel like one of those two are definitely gonna hit. I
Lord
really
willing.
do. I really do.
Lord willing.
Yeah, I like both of those. I might tail both of those on my card, so those are good. I like the Viana fight especially, dude. I really think Jacqueline's gonna win by ground and pound, and then I really think Michelle's gonna get a rear naked choke or something.
And her KO
Which
is 600. The ends KO is 550. For me,
yeah,
I'll take that just in case Pollyanna comes out with one punch and just decks her, because I feel
yeah,
like that's like, if she wins this fight, I feel like that's the story of the fight. It's like she
it's
literally just
got to be.
landed the
That's
first
her.
punch before she gets a
Yeah.
takedown.
That's like her only path to victory is like a round one. She had a round one KO in the UFC. It was that really funny highlight video where she kissed her on the forehead. Do you remember that? Who,
Um, Let
bro?
me
I
think
made a
back.
TikTok video of that when I bet on it.
Oh,
And
Jin Frey. You know what's so
yes, yes,
funny?
yes.
I had the ITD for Pollyanna Vienna, but I also had the sub. It was like ITD plus 275, sub plus 350.
Yeah.
Really dumb. I should have just taken all of it on the ITD, but
I had the KO prop on that one. That's probably
oh,
the only time
nice.
I've ever made money on Polygon Viana, like literally. Uh, and I'll never forget that fight because she knocks the chick out and then kisses her on the forehead, bro, right after. It was hilarious. Uh,
Oh, that's
but
awesome.
since then she's now what one and no she's what is she? Yeah, she's 1-2 or she's 0-2 since that fight has been. She doesn't fight that often, bro. Wow. Well, I guess she
Pollyanna
fights.
has a more
She,
successful career outside
yeah,
of the
that's true.
octagon.
She's fighting once a year at this point.
She probably gets
Uh,
paid more to post on Instagram.
yeah, yeah, no, 100%. But all the things she does is what keeps her in the eyes, in the eyes of the public. Like the fighter collabs and then fighting in general and all this stuff. So it's smart. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I won't be surprised if Amorim TKOs are on the ground in round one or it gets an armbar or something. Um, Everyone that's asking, the cycle parlay is about to be posted to YouTube in the next 30 minutes, maybe less. So you guys go check that out. I'll also post it on social media by the end of the week. Liam, if you want to shout out any of your pages or your channels, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'll just tell everybody you can find me everywhere at Liam Picks Fights. I write about the fights for Roto Grinders. I do an in-depth article every week. I post that all on Patreon as I write it up. So all my thoughts are there. I try and have like research, data, things about the odds, things about the stats, and just to give people a broad perspective. I've been watching fights for a long time, but I always acknowledge I get it wrong all the time. I'll get it wrong again. Lord willing, we'll get it right this week, and always back to work for me, whether I win or lose any one given week. So that's what I'm looking to do, and having a good start to the year, keeping it tight, one bet at a time, and doing the same thing this week.
Yes, sir. Let's go. Hopefully we have a big week, bro. Appreciate you joining the show.
Absolutely. Pleasure's all mine. Anytime you need me.
Yes, sir. All right, fellas. The YouTube video will be up soon. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Myself and Hey Jack picks the long shot only show. Liam, you should come on for a couple minutes on that one. Last week we had 40 guests on the show. So, guys, all you have to do is have a smartphone and a camera. Come on with confidence and give a 20-1 play, or I'm sorry, a 10-1 play or bigger. That's at the rules of the show. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. Myself and Hey Jack picks. We'll see all you guys then.